So today we are talking about habits for hikers. Now we all know what a habit is. It's a small thing that we do regularly, we do consistently, that we do really without thought. Now we can have good habits, such as exercise, such as nutrition habits, and we can have bad habits, things like smoking or picking our nose or whatever. And when it comes to your training and your hiking, the creation of a series of good habits can greatly enhance your success over the long term. This comes down to little things like, hey, I stretch every day, or eating a meal after training, or going for a walk every lunchtime. There are literally a million little things which can positively add to your training, your health, and your fitness. And over the long term, these can often be the difference between seeing just some small positive results and seeing some really major successes. And now, more than ever, we really want to be focusing on these little habits because we might not be motivated to be doing those big things like training multiple hours a week, hitting the trail every weekend, and all of that. Purely because maybe our trips have been cancelled, maybe we've lost our job, maybe we're under a lot of stress, and all those things just seem incredibly unattainable right now. And then if you set yourself these goals to do these massive things and you don't do it week to week, you start feeling guilty, you start feeling bad about yourself, and it all just spirals into this really negative thing. But if we focus on the small things and we control these small habits, it can really, really pull us out of that negative headspace. It can give us something positive to work on. It can make us feel good about ourselves. And it can also be really, really effective at maintaining and also progressing certain aspects of our fitness, of our health, of our happiness. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. A number of small habits which a hiker could do no matter what they're going on in their life right now, which can help their fitness, which can keep them healthy, and which can help them through this particular time. So to start with, I want to go over a few rules when it comes down to habit creation, because we've all thought of habits before and we're like, you know what, we're going to start doing this. We're going to run every day. We're going to stretch every day. But if you don't go through these particular rules, more than likely they're going to be forgotten about. To start with, habits need to be easy. You don't want to be choosing something which is incredibly difficult to do. It's just not realistic. You might do it once or twice, but if you choose something that's way too difficult, it's just not going to become that regular thing where you can do consistently and you're going to get the results. You want to be choosing habits which you're 90% confident you can do. So, for example, if you set yourself the goal of training an hour every single day, that might not be something you're 90% confident you can do every single time. So you want to reduce that and make it a little bit easier for yourself so you can get to that 90% confidence. So that literally might be training 15 minutes a day. That's still going to require a little bit of thought to make you do it, but it's something you feel pretty happy you can do. Everyone's going to be a little bit different here, and every single habit is going to be a little bit different, but you just want to adjust whatever thing you're trying to set yourself to something that you're at least 90% confident you can do every single day. And it's so important that you can tick this off each time, you can get that positive reward every single time you do it, and you can get consistently going about that. And that is one of the big, big keys to creating any type of habit. Now, number 2, habits should be something that you want to do personally. Now, you've probably heard a million things that you should be doing. For example, 10,000 steps every day, or eat your veggies at every meal or whatever. And you probably heard a bunch of things on this podcast, what I've said you should be doing, but you might not have any desire to do this. And if you don't have any desire to do this, why fight an uphill battle? Why make this more difficult for yourself than it needs to be? How about you choose something which appeals to you a little bit more? It might give similar benefits, but it's just for you personally, you feel a little bit more excitement, a little bit more pleasure from doing it. So instead of doing 10,000 steps a day, maybe you might want to go for a 5-minute run every day. That might be more appealing to you. It really, really depends on you as a person, but you want to be choosing something which you personally want to do. And the number 3, habits really should be tracked. Now, if you just go willy-nilly and you're like, yeah, I'll do something a few times a week, and you're like, oh, yeah, I did it, maybe I did it, I'm not 100% sure if I did it, whatever, and you just try to remember in your head, it's not going to work. It's not going to stick, and it's not going to be effective. You really, really want to be tracking this to say, I've done it today, I haven't done it today. So there's so many things out there these days which can help with this. You can go and download a bunch of habit apps online in which you plug in your app, you plug in the habits you want to do, it tracks it, it gamifies it, it gives you big reminders, it gives you big well dones when you do it and when you get streaks and all of that. And for people who thrive off that type of thing, it can be very, very effective. So you can check that out on your app store. Just type in habit apps and I'm sure it'll pop up. Or alternatively, you can do the old school approach where you just get a calendar and you tick off each day that you do. Now, a really, really great example of this is I want to talk about really quickly is Jerry Seinfeld, and he was a prime example of doing this. Now, in the comedy world, I'm not big in the comedy world, but I do know this story, is Jerry Seinfeld was a stand-up comedian who was known as being one of the most consistent guys in the comedy business of creating jokes. And what he used to do is he had a big calendar on his wall, and every single day that he created a new joke, or he did work on a new joke, he'd do a big X on the calendar. And every single day he did that, he put another X and another X and another X. And he would try to build up as many days in a row of streaks of him creating jokes for him to get, be successful in his job and to get in this habit of creating jokes. And he did this over the long term. He did this every week, every month, every day. Every year. He didn't do it every single day, but he did as many as he could. And that turned him into being one of the most consistent comedians and creating jokes of all time. And it's a really, really powerful example of how such a simple thing as a calendar and a simple habit of I'm literally going to write one joke a day turned him into one of the greatest guys of all time, in my opinion at least. So now that you've got those few rules, let's talk about just a list of habits which a hiker could be doing at this time. As I said before, you don't have to do all of them, but you can just choose a few and start applying them, or you can use this as inspiration to create your own. So I'm going to break this up into a few different categories. We're going to talk about fitness habits, nutrition habits, sleep habits, and mindset habits. Now, these are all ones that I've done with myself and with my clients in the past. They're all relatively effective, but as I said, you can create your own off this inspiration. So let's start with fitness habits. The very simplest way to do this, to start with this, is I'm going to train a certain amount of minutes every single day. So if for me right now, my motivation to do full training sessions is very, very low. So me saying I'm going to train an hour every day is just not going to happen. But as I said the example above, if I can say I'm going to train 15 minutes a day, every single day, that does sound pretty practical and pretty doable for me. And so for you, it might be similar. And you're literally just going to choose a certain amount of minutes every day. You're going to write that down and you're going to try and hit that. Another thing is the steps. So it doesn't have to be 10,000 steps, but it can literally be any number that you're going to try and hit every single day. Particularly with us working from home, this can be really, really practical. Most phones have step counters inbuilt to them these days, or you can download an app. Alternatively, if you don't have a smartphone, you can always get a pedometer, or you can just say, I'm going to walk for 40 minutes a day, or something like that. But that can be a really effective habit. Another one, going back in off of what we talked about the other day on another podcast, is I'm going to do a certain number of repetitions of an exercise every single day. So this might be, I'm going to do 100 squats every day, and over the day you sort of build it up. Once you get to the 100, you tick it off and you've done it. Or I'm going to do 20 sit-ups and 20 push-ups. Again, I don't know why I always say sit-ups even though I hate them, but it's, it's an example there for you. Another one is every single time I have a coffee, I'm going to do a quick lap around the block. Pretty simple, easy habit to do, but over the long term can be pretty effective. Or when I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, I'm going to do 10 calf raises. And that might be, you put the kettle on 3 times a day, that might be 30 calf raises, you might be laughing there. You can do anything with fitness habits, but they're small, they're achievable, and you're consistent with them and you track them. Pretty simple. Now, coming down to nutrition habits, again, there's a million and one things you can do here. 4 of my favorites is number 1, hydration. So just setting yourself a target to drink every single day. So whether it's 2 liters or 3 liters, or whether you're going to have a glass of water every time you have a coffee, or a glass of water every time you wake up, or whatever. Just set yourself a particular hydration target and a habit, and just so you can ensure that's going on. Veggies is another really good area. So 2 different ways I often go about this with clients is number 1, I'm trying to get them to tick off 1 serving of every single color of veggies each day at the minimum. So that's like red, yellow, purple, white, green. Have they hit all of those in the day? Boom, perfect, tick. Or alternatively, just have 1 serving of veg with every single meal you do. So breakfast, lunch, dinner. Or some people who really, really hate veggies is sometimes literally been 1 serving of veg with dinner. And that's enough for someone. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, but you want to make this a little bit, you want to track this, you want to make this a little bit more structured than what you might be doing already, and you want to try and hit that every single time. Next one is protein at every meal. It's a really simple one in any type of health or fitness goals you're having. Protein's pretty important for a lot of people, and it's quite difficult for a lot of people to fit it into their life. You don't have to be doing crazy amounts of this and go mental or tracking your numbers if you don't like, but simply having some type of source of protein with every meal and every snack you have can be really simple. And then the final one when it comes to nutrition is at this particular time in life, it's very, very easy to start binging, to getting takeout, to getting all these like crazy foods coming in and just snacking away. So one habit that we often talk about in the nutrition world is trying to do 80% of your foods are whole foods, are good foods, are clean foods, however you want to word it, but 80% of your foods are something that's relatively nutritious. And 20% of your foods, or your meals I should say, can be other things, like can be takeout, can be frozen meals, whatever. And the easiest way to judge this is just count it, get it again, track it out with a calendar, with a food diary, and you might be surprised. You might actually track it out for a week and you're like, oh my gosh, like 50% of my food is actually all takeout. Maybe I can adjust that. Pretty simple, but pretty effective. So next one, sleep habits. So sleep, super important. This is something everyone can be working on in this time to help support yourself. So a few simple things you can do here. Number one, turn your screens off 30 minutes before going to bed. That's an easy habit. That's going to be very, very effective for helping you fall asleep and the depth of your sleep. That's something you can tick off every single day. Another one is having a sleep aid before you go to bed. So having a drop of lavender oil on your chest, having a chamomile tea, having some magnesium. Just turn that into a daily thing to help you get to sleep and help you get that depth of sleep. Or alternatively, do something relaxing before you go to bed every day. Do 5 minutes of stretching or rolling, 20 minutes of reading, do a bit of journaling. Any of those things are going to help calm you down for the day. Those are really simple things, but it can be a very effective habit for helping you get that sleep you need and get the quality of sleep as well. And you can also put all those together, and it's something that I do personally. And then finally, talking about mindset habits. So what can you be doing to keep yourself positive, to keep yourself focused, to keep yourself, in a good mental space during this time? A few examples that I often use is a gratitude journal. So this is a simple technique. Just at the end of the day, when you're sitting in bed, get a pen and paper, write down 3 things that you're grateful for. It's going to be literally anything. It can be, say, I'm grateful that I got food on my table, I'm grateful that I have a loving partner, or I have a healthy family, or that I still have my job, or anything like that. Just 3 things each day, and that can end the day in a positive mood, that can help you sleep, and can be really, really a beautiful thing to do day by day. Another one is a daily reflection, and same similar thing. You can sit in your bed or just before you go to bed, 10 minutes of writing and just reflect on the day. What have you learned? What have you done? What was good? What was bad? And sometimes that can be a great habit to get into. That can be a great way to clear your head and a great way to keep yourself focused and happy moving forward. And then if you want to get a little bit more serious, you can do sort of get in the habit of, I'm goal setting every single Monday, and I'm going to set goals for my week that I want to do. Or you're going to get in the habit of reviewing your goals or your long-term goals every single morning. And if you want to sit down with a pen and paper, look over what I want to achieve in 4 weeks, in 8 weeks, in 6 months, in 12 months, and literally just spend 5 minutes reviewing it every morning, that can be incredibly effective for, not just your training, but your everyday life. So there are a whole bunch of different examples for you when it comes down to habits for hikers. As I said, that list, is not limited to that. You can come up with your own. There's 1,000,001 things you can do. But have a think about that very, very seriously right now, and maybe I'm going to pull 2 or 3 habits that I'm going to start applying into my life day by day, week by week. And these small things can really make a big difference when it comes to our regular day-to-day and our regular training, but also when we're particularly stuck at home, we might not be motivated to do those bigger things, and just working off those smaller things day to day. So I hope that's given you a bit of food for thought today, guys. A lot to digest when it comes to habits, and we really just scraped the surface there, but hopefully that gives you some decent direction in what you can potentially think about. So if you do have any questions about this, as always, just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help if you swing me an email. But if you have enjoyed this episode, as always, I would love if you can leave a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to, because it really does go a long way to helping me keep this podcast moving forward and reaching more people. So have a lovely day, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.